7-year anniversary of Titanfall 2 is upon us. Compared to previous anniversaries, this one is pretty eventful. The game actually works for a change. We got new game modes, some better, some worse. And there's even a theme song this year.
Give me my pills, I'm losing it.
Only one thing is missing, and it's the release or announcement of the third game, but do we actually need it? There's cases where third games doesn't happen, and maybe for a good reason, but this video isn't about it. Instead, let me fill you in on how this one came to be. I hosted a Twitter poll for a topic of the video, and by your vote it concluded in tips and tricks. That's when I realized that despite 650 hours on record, I can hardly formulate any coherent pointers. And even if I could, most of you would probably know them already. Hence, I asked my friends to help me out. Enter Kat and Elad NLG, two other Titanfall enjoyers with whom I embarked on a journey through Code and Frontier alike, just to bring you 7 years worth of tips and tricks. Enjoy! The game makes it pretty clear that to damage a Titan with a weapon other than a Grenadier or Anti-Titan, you need to hit their weak spots. But that in and of itself is rarely useful as damage dealt is minuscule. That however isn't true for Titan's shields, the ones over the health bar, not the defensive ability. The blue bar can be depleted rather quickly and anywhere on Titan's body. Though you can see tracers as well as bullets on the conventional weapons, everything that looks like it is a hit scan. That involves guns like Devotion or Volt, which have visible and quite slow tracers. Things are however different when we look at sniper rifles. Only the longbow DMR is a hit scan weapon. Double take or Kraber will require you to compensate. Speaking of double take, you probably know that later in Apex Legends it was rebranded to triple take. It deals 30 damage per bullet, but can score a 90 damage hit on the body. If you pass primary grade math, then you'll notice that these numbers don't add up. Indeed, double take has a hidden third projectile in the middle between the two visible ones. There is a mod for Norster that reveals it, showing that double was triple all along. On topic of sniping, if you haven't picked it up yet, Alternator is a very weird SMG. It's mostly effective when top firing from the hip. There's no real magic or secret to it, it's just something I thought I'd mention. R101 and R201 might seem pretty similar, one being the newer iteration of the older model, and it's quite often spoken that they are the same gun under different forms. That is mostly true. However, R101 has a better recoil in ADS than its younger brother. The only cost seems to be slightly bulkier view model too. Speaking of similarities, Laser Shot and Charge Rifle appear to have a lot in common in terms of the visuals and performance. That is actually pretty far from the truth. Putting the charge time aside, the Charge Rifle is a direct hit scan at the point you are currently aiming at. However, Laser Shot is actually a cone which will score a hit if the enemy is within 1 degree from your crosshair. It's effectively an aimbot in a narrow window. Oh, also on human-sized targets, Charge Rifle can deal collateral damage, but Laser Shot cannot. Same is true for Monarch's Energy Siphon with 1.5 degree and surprisingly EVA 8 with 8 degrees. Yes, it's not a pellet-based shotgun. Those are simply cosmetic. That gun is a pretty serious outlier among the shotguns. Not only is it hit scan, whereas other two use projectiles, unlike Mastiff or Mozambique, EVA doesn't get a tighter pellet spread while ADSing. The other two get their bullets choked, tightening the spread and effectively increasing the range. If you hate waiting like me, you can use the Warp Fall to get your Titan on the ground sooner, as well as equip the Face Embark kit to get inside quicker. There is an even faster method of getting in your Titan though. With Grapple Tactical equipped, you can attach yourself to the Titan, which will immediately trigger the embark animation, even midair. On some maps you can practically gain the control of your Titan before it touches the ground. If we're talking Titans and speed, you should know that all Titans have a short yet substantial native dash cooldown that prevents you from chaining dashes in a quick succession. This can be circumvented by Ronin, who can weave his phase dash in between the standard dashes. That, in turn, lets him go some places you wouldn't expect, like the elevated platform on Dry Dock, or, more noticeably, the bridge on Blackwater Canal. He can get off it with such a chain too. For some pilot mobility, aside from running on walls and slide hopping, you'll probably notice that some more experienced players use a Graph Star and jump into it as it explodes. The damage isn't enough to kill you, and the speed boost you gain is pretty noticeable. You can use the stim to recover from the damage faster and increase your speed further, or have the Graph Star as some cheap mobility option when you don't use grapple or stim. It's also a good practice for you to stop mantling. Climbing ledges like that puts you in a slow, predictable animation that will most likely get you killed if you push with it. You can't even shoot during a mantle, so that's not nice. Instead, what you can do is, as you're running up that wall, jump off it and use your double jump to get on top without lowering your gun and sacrificing mobility. Smart Pistol is usually a pretty good way for you to earn the opposite of love and sympathy of the enemy team. It's pretty similar to the one you get to use at the end of the campaign and equally straightforward. Just run around and let it aim for you. The real fun, however, starts when you start aiming for yourself. ADSing with the Salt Dispenser will override its auto-lock features and let you shoot freely where you aim. The Gun of Shame does not have a damage drop-off point or accuracy penalties, meaning regardless of how far you are from your target, you will always deal 40 damage, 55 if shooting through an A-wall. This means 3 and 2-shot kills from anywhere on the map. Needless to say, it's likely to confuse your enemies, or maybe even impress them. Aside from pilots and human-sized AI, Smart Pistol can also lock on pilot ordnance with exceptions to fire and gravity stars. Shooting a piece of ordnance will force an early explosion, besides the electric smoke grenade, which will be simply destroyed.